10 seconds. That is all it took for a man I had never met to end my wedding in front of 200 people who came to celebrate us. I am Daniel, and I was 31 years old that afternoon, standing under a white rose arch, waiting for the woman I believed I already knew, complete. The doors at the back of the chapel opened when nobody was expecting them to, and every single guest turned around at exactly the same moment. A man in a navy suit walked in alone, and my fiancée stopped breathing beside me, and I felt her paw go completely cold inside mine. To explain what he said and why 11 words destroyed everything, I have to take you back exactly 2 years to a rainy Tuesday in a coffee shop. Because the truth is, the wedding did not fall apart that afternoon. It had been quietly falling apart for 2 years, and I refused to see it. I met Emma on a Tuesday, when the rain was loud enough that everyone crowded inside, and there was exactly one empty chair left in the whole place. She asked if the seat across from me was taken, and I said no, and that single ordinary word rearranged the entire shape of the next 2 years. By the third week, we were walking the same park path every evening under the same maple tree, and I was already imagining a future I had not earned. We talked until the sky went dark around us. She laughed at things that were not funny, and I decided that was the best sound I knew. She worked in design, and she was brilliant at it, and she never once mentioned anyone before me, which at the time felt like maturity rather than avoidance. Whenever I asked about her past, she would smile and say, "The past is boring," and change the subject so smoothly I never noticed she had done it. 6 months in, she moved into my apartment with 2 suitcases and a box of books, and I hung a framed photograph of us above the sofa. For a while, it was genuinely perfect. Coffee in the morning, her sweater on my chair, the sound of someone else in the kitchen when I woke up. I proposed under that maple tree on a September evening with a ring I had paid off in 11 months, and she cried before I finished the question. She said yes about 4 times and then held her paw out in the last of the sunlight and told me she had never felt safer with anyone. We started planning immediately. A small chapel, 200 guests, her favorite white roses everywhere because she said they reminded her of starting completely fresh again. Looking back, that phrase should have landed differently on me. Starting fresh always implies something before it, and I heard romance where I should have heard warning. The first crack appeared at a restaurant in March. We were halfway through dinner when she looked past my shoulder and simply went completely still for several seconds. I turned around and saw nothing unusual. A crowded room, strangers eating. When I looked back, she was already reaching for her coat and asking to leave. That night, she put her phone face down on the nightstand, which she had never done before, and I told myself it meant absolutely nothing at all. It buzzed at 2 in the morning. I watched the ceiling light up twice, and I did not look, and I have thought about that choice ever since. In April, she started coming home late on Thursdays. Work, she said. The rain those weeks was constant, and she always arrived without the umbrella she left with. Once I watched from the window as she stood under the street lamp finishing a call before she came up. She was laughing. She had not laughed with me all week. Her best friend visited in May and asked me carefully whether Emma had told me everything. And when I said yes, she nodded and changed the subject fast. I did not chase it. I was 3 months from my wedding, and I had decided that trusting her completely was the same thing as loving her properly. Twice I nearly opened her phone. Both times I stopped because I believed a man who checks is already a man who has lost something he cannot recover. So I chose faith over evidence, and I would like to say that was noble, but honestly, it was easier than hearing an answer I could not undo. In June, we did a tasting dinner, and she barely spoke. She kept turning her ring around her finger over and over until the skin underneath went red. I asked if she was having second thoughts. She said no and held my paw and told me she just wanted the day to finally be over already. 3 weeks before the wedding, she came home, soaked at midnight, and stood dripping in the doorway and said, "We needed to talk about something genuinely important." Then she looked at the framed photograph above the sofa and said, "It could wait until after the honeymoon," and I let her decide that for both of us. The morning of the wedding was flawless. Clear sky, white petals down the chapel steps, a cream-colored car at the curb, and my hands would not stop shaking. My best friend fixed my bow tie and told me I looked like a man who had already won. And I remember believing him completely for about 40 minutes. The chapel filled. 200 people. Golden light coming through the tall windows and landing on the aisle exactly the way she had described it for months. When she appeared at the far end in that dress, I forgot every doubt I had spent the spring collecting. She was radiant and looking straight at me. She walked the aisle slowly. Her paw was shaking when the officiant joined it to mine, and I thought that was nerves because everybody shakes at their wedding. We got through the readings. We got through the vows. I said mine badly because I was crying and the whole room laughed with me, and it was Then the officiant said the line every ceremony says and nobody ever answers. "If anyone here objects to this union, let them speak now or hold their peace." There was that small, warm silence where everyone smiles. And then the doors at the back of the chapel opened and the warmth went out of the room. He walked up the aisle, unhurried, in a navy suit. And Emma said one word under her breath that I heard perfectly clearly. She simply said, "Ryan." He stopped 6 feet away and did not look at me at all. He looked only at her, and he spoke calmly, like he was reading a weather report. He said, "Emma, we are still legally married. You never filed the papers. I checked again this morning. Whatever you signed today does not count for anything." 11 words in, and my fiancée did not deny a single one. She did not laugh. She did not call him insane. She just closed her eyes. That was the 10 seconds. Not shouting, not a scene, just a quiet sentence and a silence afterward that told 200 people everything they needed to know. I asked her one question. "Is it true?" She opened her eyes and said, "It is complicated," and that answer was somehow worse than anything he had said. The reception happened without us. The cake was never cut. Somebody drove the flowers to a hospital and 200 people went home before the sun even set. Ryan needed 10 seconds to end it. Emma had taken 2 years. And I keep the ring in my drawer as a reminder that silence is also an answer.